This is an M-rated game, so viewer discretion is advised. Mass Effect 3. Like I've said in other reviews, for a very long time I had no other system than a Nintendo-made system. So I missed out on playing some of these classics from other systems. So this was my very first Mass Effect game, and I have to say that I really enjoyed it, when it would work. Now I do want to say right off the bat, I could not test all the features of this game. All of the multiplayer options were not working, because the disc would not read those sections. I don't know why the disc wasn't working. It looked fine, but it just would not work in multiplayer. It was so weird. So sorry that I can't review that part. Since I never played the other games in the series, I was very glad for the interactive comic they give you as an option to watch. It was very helpful and informative. It even lets you make choices on who lives or what you might do in the storyline, as I would assume those choices were in the original games. The comic was very detailed, and it didn't just throw a bunch of exposition at you. It did a good job of keeping an interesting narrative, which is always a hard thing to do when you're just doing a bunch of backstory. Now, Mass Effect 3's story was very interesting. Without spoiling too much, an alien race has invaded Earth, and Shepard must get together an army to fight them off. This plot will take you throughout the known galaxy to find new friends and allies. You will sometimes have to decide how certain alliances will end up, and I like that a lot. It kind of made what I did in the game kind of matter. At least, no, I'm not going to spoil it. Never mind. Now, this game is rated M for violence and some language, I would assume. However, compared to the other M-rated games that I've reviewed, this one seemed pretty tame. In fact, I bet with a few cuts and some nicer language, they could have easily gotten a T rating. Now, the action is pretty much just a shooter. Not that that's a bad thing. You fight against aliens and other organizations trying to stop you from making a weapon to stop the aliens. Now, there were a few characters you could choose from to take on a mission. Depending on your gameplay style and the mission type you're going to go on, you would need to choose who you're going to pick carefully, because they all play differently. I did like the different ways you could adjust your character. There were different abilities and different classes you could choose from and to upgrade. So you could pick a class and upgrade the abilities that would most suit your gameplay habits. Now, the Wii gamepad was very helpful, as it showed you a map most of the time where you were and where you needed to go. You could also assign hotkeys for your weapons and abilities on it. I did play this with the Pro Controller as well, and I personally preferred to play it using the gamepad. I found the on-screen map very helpful, and there were quite a few times where it was hard to figure out where to go, and the gamepad map was very useful in those situations. Another thing that I liked was the main hub of the ship. It wasn't too big where it was too difficult to get around and to remember where everything was, and it was not so small that it seemed unbelievable. I liked all the worlds and the missions we had to go on. There were quite a few times where I said, "Wow, that was really clever," or "I didn't see that coming." The storytelling and the gameplay functions of the levels that you go to were outstanding. Like I said, there is a multiplayer mode, and while I couldn't test it, it did look fun from the menus I saw. Mass Effect 3 might be the most controversial game in the series, due to its ending, which I will not get into. But I will say I do agree with the people that are upset with it. But it doesn't ruin my enjoyment of the game overall. The graphics look great, it controlled perfectly, and it used the WiiU gamepad in correct ways. Plus, it had a very compelling storyline. I have seen this game go for as low as $12 lately, and that's a crazy low price for such a great game. My only hope is that if you buy this game, your disc is better than mine. So with that said, I do think it's worth a buy.